Euromaxx highlights. And here's your host, Karin Helmstedt.
Greetings from the German capital and a warm welcome to our highlights edition, which this time round is chock full of action, vitamins and images with these topics. Parisian parkour, freestyle in the French capital. Fashion fruit, pineapple fiber is the latest in the world of fabrics. And motorsport moments, legendary automotive events recreated for posterity. Well, most athletes love to get out of the city to do their thing. And when you think extreme sport, you usually think of mountains or rushing rivers or even the sky as the perfect backdrop with no distractions. But all of that changes drastically when you're an ace at parkour. Now, those are the guys who run and jump, climb, swing, and vault their way over anything and everything. And for Yoann Leroux, that means the rooftops of Paris are the perfect playground.
Yoann Leroux has only one chance to make this jump. There are no safety nets below the rooftops of Paris. Parkour is a kind of extreme sport. Leroux's been doing it professionally since 2009. He's built a philosophy around it.
Parkour is the art of forward motion, pushing limits. It involves adapting yourself and your body to a certain environment and overcoming obstacles, both mentally and physically.
It also means being in continual motion. Yoann has found an ideal place in the center of Paris to get in shape, not far from the Bastille. A pedestrian bridge over the Seine offers a wide range of opportunities to practice. Viewers are advised against trying this at home, no matter how easy it looks when Yoann goes strolling across the railings.
I don't feel as if I'm in any kind of unusual situation or that I have to be especially careful. I just imagine I'm walking a straight line on the ground. If I go by that principle, I feel no stress. And there's no reason for me to fall as long as I can walk a straight line.
But even the most experienced parkour athletes slip up every once in a while. The 30-year-old recalls when it happened to him a few years ago.
I was holding on at this very spot and went to make a 360-degree turn. When I executed the move, I slipped and fell in the water. This bridge is 10 meters high. Fortunately, I can swim and I got out of the water by climbing up a ladder. But I'll definitely remember that mishap forever. Normally, you can't afford that kind of mistake. In this case, I was lucky enough to land in the water.
So when passers-by see him in action, how do they react?
Some people are curious and ask questions. They're interested. Others don't want to hear anything about it. They're scared of what they don't know. I always try to communicate courage instead of fear.
The parkour pro is always on the lookout for new locations to practice his passion. There are plenty of rooftops in Paris, but it isn't always so easy to reach them.
The roofs of Paris are a grey area in legal terms. We're tolerated by the people who live there, but you aren't allowed to access the roofs via private entrances, and there's no way to avoid that, really.
Today, Yoann has once again found a way up. His concentration before a jump like this is ferocious. One wrong move could kill him. He says he doesn't want to think about the dangers.
I personally don't connect what I'm doing to death in any way. For me, that's a very negative concept, and you have to be careful employing it. You can also die just trying to cross the street. There are so many external factors that can't be calculated in life. When I'm up here on the rooftops, then it's just me and my body coping with potential dangers. What others view as dangerous lies at the root of my work.
Yoann has taken part in many international competitions. In 2013, he won the world champion title in the discipline. He's also founded a French parkour team and set up an academy where he teaches others what he knows.
It's a sport that anyone can practice, no matter how old you are or what kind of shape you're in. There are no excuses. It's about the art of movement and locomotion. We all have bodies that we should be using, regardless of age or experience.
But no one says you have to start by leaping across Paris rooftops.
Well, in the search for sustainable materials in the fashion world, many designers are tirelessly resourceful. Now, we've already seen fibers made out of milk or things like wood, and even vegetable cashmere made from soy. But one Spanish designer has come up with yet another natural source for fashionable fabrics, the pineapple. So we had to find out more.
The leather look is deceptive. The fabric used to make these fashion products is purely plant-based. It comes from the fibers of pineapple leaves and weighs just a quarter of what real leather would. British designer Alicia Leigh has been using this innovative natural material in her shoe collections for about a year now.
Although it is a natural product, it actually looks really very stylish. It's got a natural texture to it. It comes in several different colors, and it's nice and soft and pliable. It's easy to take care of and durable.
The fabric made from pineapple fibers is called Pinatex and is made by the British startup Ananas Anam. Its founder, Carmen Hijosa of Spain, spent about a decade developing the material. Before that, she worked in the leather industry for 15 years. While looking for a sustainable alternative to leather, she experimented with banana and agave leaves before she found pineapple.
This particular pineapple fiber, which is being used in the Philippines for 400 years, traditionally to make very beautiful, very light textiles, I realized then the quality of this fiber, because it's very, very fine, but it's very soft and flexible, but also strong.
Waste from the pineapple harvest on the Philippines provides the raw material. Farmers collect the leaves and separate the fibers using a special machine. Then the fibers are dried in the sun. From then, a Filipino factory produces a non-woven fleece-like material, which is coated with polymers and bonding agents to make the Pinatex robust and long-lasting. About 480 leaves go into each square meter.
When I started to work with the factory, they had never done anything like it, because they were used to working, and they still work with polyurethane, you know, petroleum-based fibers, which are very much easier, they're all even, stronger, and it took us a couple of years to come up to a mesh that wasn't falling up to bits.
In the meantime, Pinatex fulfills all industry standards and is ready to go on the market. Here in the Pineapple Room in London, several designers display their products. Among them are the Spanish firm Maravilla Bags and the Australian clock-making company Time for Change. Well-known companies like German sporting goods manufacturer Puma are also experimenting with the material, and customers seem to like it.
It comes from the earth and then it goes back into the earth, and it doesn't harm anything in between. So, you know, if no chemicals are used when it's made, it's all completely natural. So I think it's great.
I think it's a fantastic idea. I think something that we're using as an industry byproduct or a waste that is otherwise being burnt or sent into a landfill to be made into shoes and bags and watch straps. I think it's a fantastic idea.
British fashion expert Alison Louis found the fabric unusual and it drew her attention. As an investor, she observes the fashion scene and supports startups that place special value on sustainability.
It could change the whole shape of the industry. It won't happen overnight, but in time it will, and help these communities in all different countries, in developing countries, become more sustainable. A lot of them are women behind it all, so it will help empower the women in these communities. So actually, it's a really long effect on all stages of the chain.
Ananas Anam founder Carmen Hijosa wants to continue expanding. Demand for her pineapple leaf fabric already exceeds what she can produce.
Motorsport history is chock full of spectacular moments, most of which happen at lightning speed and are therefore only preserved in the memories of those who were there to witness them. Well, this is even truer of events that happened in the early days of automotive racing. So two young men from the Czech Republic set out to fill those gaps in history, and they do it with an amazing combination of creativity and technology.
July 1938. An accident on the Nürburgring racetrack. A Mercedes Silver Arrow bursts into flames. August 1957. Juan Manuel Fangio drives the legendary German Grand Prix in his Maserati 250F. High-resolution pictures from the history of motorsports. Moments that were actually never photographed. The pictures have come from the Czech design studio Unique and Limited. Petr Milersky and Jan Rambusek first had the idea when they saw an old Mercedes Silver Arrow in Prague's Technical Museum. Before that, they hadn't really been motorsport enthusiasts.
I became really hardcore fan when I saw in this place this car where we are staying right now. And for me, I didn't know these were such cars, such a powerful cars before World War II. Actually, it was very surprising, and from there I started to be very passionate about history, about motor racing.
I'm not a racer. I'm not so much fascinated by speed and trying to kill myself. So it's really more about the aesthetics around it, for me at least.
The two former advertising designers began recreating moments of motorsport history in 2014. Petr and Jan go to tremendous lengths to produce their pictures. They work through an average of 2,000 original sources before finally deciding on a motif. The two then start by creating a 3D model of the car and its setting on the computer and go on to make sure every detail is right. This precise template is crucial for the next step, the photo shoot.
So basically, this is the picture that we rendered before we went to the photo shoot. So, and then when we were on a set shooting the people, so you can crop every single person and place it into the picture, so you know that the angle is right, that the lighting is right, and you know that you got the picture you need.
When Petr and Jan take their photos, it looks like a film set, at times with up to 100 extras in historical clothing, makeup artists, and artificial rain. The photos are later mounted on canvases up to 8 square meters in size, so even the smallest details can be scrutinized. The last step is again digital, the image processing. Then the shots from the set are combined with the 3D model. This is when the virtual car and the photographed driver become one. Details like atmospheric lighting or realistic smoke are added. It's a demanding process and takes 2 to 3 months to produce a single picture.
The main reason why we're doing what we're doing was because we wanted to run away from what we did before, and that was like working in advertisement. So the very first project, the Silver Arrow, started because we really wanted to enjoy what we were doing. We didn't want to have anyone on the other side telling us how to do things.
Petr and Jan also accept commissions. British racing team McLaren, for example, ordered a picture of James Hunt racing to win the 1976 World Championship in Japan. A single picture like this costs €50,000 and up. The techniques the artists use can also be applied to themes outside of motorsports.
Well, I have a list of 50 scenes that I like to do, so I would probably go to some ancient wars, like Crusaders or something like this.
Yeah, I think the first landing on the moon could be also interesting, and we kind of started with the project, but we stick to the cars so far.
For now, the two have their work cut out just reconstructing pictures from the history of racing. They're currently working on projects with Ferrari and Aston Martin. But Jan Rambusek and Petr Milersky are eager to turn to things outside the world of motorsport. A series on historic aircraft is already waiting in the wings.
Well, next we're off to the beautiful Dutch capital of Amsterdam, a city that simply never gets boring, in my opinion. Amsterdam is perfect for a weekend getaway, boasting its UNESCO World Heritage Canal system and, of course, a wealth of museums. And unlike many other capitals, Amsterdam is also relatively small, so you can reach pretty much everything comfortably on foot. Well, not much wonder that some 17 million people checked it out just last year, and we thought we'd explore like a local on a bicycle.
Amsterdam is hands down Europe's capital of bicycle riders. It's home to an estimated 900,000 bikes. That's more than the population of the city center. In 2001, the world's first bicycle parking garage was built at the city's central rail station. Sean Cody has been offering individual sightseeing tours of the capital with his company Joyride Tours for the past 7 years, naturally by bike.
For me, one of the most interesting things about Amsterdam isn't just the beautiful city, but it's also the citizens that make up the city. It's people from all over the world, and it actually just beat out New York as having the most variety of nationalities in any city in the world. It's also a very small city, so I find it quite enjoyable that it's only about 1.6 million with the suburbs, maybe 800,000 with the city center. So you get this international city feel, but you're in a very small, livable, enjoyable city.
Many of Cody's tours start off at Dam Square, the birthplace of Amsterdam. In the 13th century, local fishermen dammed the river Amstel and settled in a village they called Amsterdam. The square is also home to the 17th century royal palace.
Originally, this was not a royal palace. This was the mayor's office in Amsterdam. And if you look at it, that's why it's not an impressive building. If you compare it to Versailles or Windsor Castle, it's not impressive at all. But originally, this was the largest civic building in Europe, and it celebrated the power of the Republic.
In the 17th century, Amsterdam rose to become a key center of international trade, amassing unimagined wealth. This is when the world-famous Canal Ring area was developed. Swampland was drained using a system of 165 canals in concentric arcs. Today, the urban ensemble is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Often the houses along the canals were commissioned by wealthy merchants. Many were Calvinists, which is why the houses are modest in design. Wealth was displayed in more subtle ways.
This black house here is a good indication of that. It's a very thin house. It's quite tall. And if you look at the glass on it compared to the house right behind me, you'll see it's got very large windows. This was a way of showing wealth in the old days.
Amsterdam boasts no fewer than 44 museums. One is the Van Gogh Museum. It houses a collection of 200 works by the Dutch artist. Another must-see is the Rijksmuseum, the National Museum of the Netherlands. It was already a traffic-friendly building when it opened in 1885, and today it could well be the only museum that you can ride a bike through. It holds works by Dutch Golden Age masters like Vermeer and Rembrandt.
The Rijksmuseum is built around the 1800s, and it's designed by a gentleman by the name of Pierre Cuypers. And if you arrive in Amsterdam by train and you see the central train station, it's actually designed by the same architect, actually. So that's why they look very similar in design.
Onward by bike through Amsterdam. The Netherlands are famous for their cheeses, so the next stop on our tour is one of the many cheese shops in the city. Kashuis Tromp has all the classics on offer, among them Gouda, Emmentaler, and Appenzeller.
The soil in the Netherlands is very how do you say it? It's very good for growing really fine grass. So keeping cows is really a thing for the Dutch. And cows, they give a lot of milk, of course, and from that milk they make the cheese. We make a lot of cheese, we eat a lot of cheese. The Dutch are on average the tallest people of the planet, and that's the myth is that that's because they eat a lot of cheese.
Sean Cody's tour ends at a more recently installed landmark. The giant I Amsterdam marketing logo is a popular photo op for visitors, and one that captures the inclusive spirit of this open city.
Europe at its best. Euromaxx brings you the highlights on Instagram. Stunning landscapes, spectacular buildings and mouth-watering delicacies. Our reporters are always on the lookout with their cameras, and our editors look forward to your comments on travel, food or architecture. Follow us on Instagram and discover how exciting and diverse Europe can be.
Well, summer is on its way, and that means that very soon all over Europe, amusement parks, water parks and theme parks of every ilk will welcome throngs of visitors. So a typical day at one of these parks is, of course, very loud and extremely crowded. Not everybody's thing. But Italian photographer Stefano Cerio has found his own way of enjoying these attractions, and his perspective is as surprising as it is refreshing.
Amusement parks are often deserted after nightfall and eerily quiet. Unlike during the day, when they are a place of sensory overload, full of noise, colourful surroundings and wild adventure. Italian Stefano Cerio goes to amusement parks like the Cinecittà World in Rome to shoot his photos, but he only visits when they're not open for business.
What I like best about these parks is the huge contrast between full and empty. The absence of people lends these worlds a surreal quality. Even the architecture, which is just a piece of fantasy, a backdrop, a bit of man-made madness, seems completely surreal and senseless without people.
Stefano Cerio starts to look for his subjects at dusk. If he waited until dark, he'd have to use a flashlight to find his way through the unlit park. His photos are shot using a very strong flash. This makes the background appear completely black.
I like working at night because night means the absence of light. But I can add the light myself because it's the light that creates the photo. The photo is made from light, and I'm the one who produces that light, artificially.
Stefano Cerio also takes pictures of other places that attract hordes of people during the day, like ski resorts. He captures the strange silence when night falls and the crowds are gone. Swimming pools and water parks are usually teeming with people in the dog days of summer. But Stefano Cerio prefers to visit them in winter, when they're deserted. This photo series dates from 2010.
Some people find the pictures sad because the people are missing. Others view them more as a kind of photorealism, or they sense the irony inherent in these photos. There shouldn't be just one way to understand art. I don't like it when folks say, this means precisely that. Art should make you think in all kinds of directions.
His latest photo series, Night Games, is on display at a gallery in Rome. Cerio examines the prints in his studio. He really likes this one.
You'd think it was a little model, but it has elements which make you realize it's a real building, a big one, like these gates, these surveillance cameras. But the difficulty in understanding how big this thing really is, the doubting of your own perceptions, that's what fascinates me.
The pictures taken for the photo series in Italy, France and the US now appear in a book of photos, also called Night Games. And although Cerio denies his photography as a form of social criticism, some photos certainly give that impression.
This is the photo I also chose for the book cover. On it you see the head of the Statue of Liberty, which has fallen off. That creates a threatening impression. I like this idea of a dark future vision of New York, but this wasn't taken in America. It was shot at an Italian amusement park called Mirabilandia.
Even if the hubbub of theme parks isn't your cup of tea, Stefano Cerio's photos almost make you miss the madding crowds.
That's all for this edition of our highlights. So until we meet again, all the best from us here in Berlin. Tschüss und auf Wiedersehen.